Hello, I'm Dr. Howard. Today we're going to talk about probiotics, healthy bacteria, soluble fiber, all that good stuff. All the stuff you like to not think about. Soluble fiber is absolutely necessary in our diet. What I'm going to do is tell you why, so you'll know why it's a necessity. We have about, our body's made up of about 10 trillion cells. It's also made up by a bunch of helper cells called bacteria and viruses. We have about 100,000 bacteria in our body, and they're not all in our gut. Some are in our lungs, some are in our liver. They're finding them all over the place in our body, and without them, we wouldn't be alive. We're not just what we think our body is. And so we have to make a home for these bacteria. We have to provide them with nourishment. And most of them are in our gut. There's a huge amount in our gut. And they live there. And they have a whole manufacturing plant there. They make food for us. They make all sorts of things. They make our vitamins. And so we have to provide for them. They're our guests. They're our friends. They're us. Good bit of it. They outnumber ourselves 10 to 1. Anyway, we have two types. When we eat our food, some of the food that we eat, most of the food has fiber. And the fiber is in two general types. There's a bunch of subtypes, but there are two general types we have to know about and think about. And that's soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. Insoluble fiber, it's just what it says. It's not soluble. It doesn't absorb water. And it goes in one end and comes out the other, mostly. It acts as a broom and it's our janitor. It keeps everything healthy. It keeps things clean. Clean surfaces work better because they can absorb things right through them. Dirty, they can't do their job. Soluble fiber is we use that to make a nice home for our friends, our bacteria, our guests. And in turn, and it also feeds them. They live in it. They're happy. Gives them a warm place to be. Raise their family. Take care of their children. Send them to school. Whatever they do. How should I know what they do? All I know is they're good to have inside of us. And they do make healthy things. While they're there, we feed them. They feed us. They make B vitamins. They make all sorts of good things. They break down certain foods and make them so we can eat them. Some of them, most of them work in our small intestine within a 2 to 3 hour period after we've eaten a meal. They're done. Pretty much done. Next meal, next boatload comes. Some of them, though, affect us the next day because while they're not working at this end, they're working at the other end. They make some healthy stuff for us down there. So we have to take care of our friends. Therefore, we need a certain amount of soluble fiber every day if we want to be regular, because we're set up to take care of them. Our regularity says they're healthy. We're irregular, they're probably not too healthy. You kill them with antibiotics, they're definitely not healthy. They're dead. And while we haven't killed all of them, we've cut down the population, and predators come in, barbarians, and take over the area, and they don't necessarily have waste products that are so healthy for us. The good, healthy bacteria, we live on their waste products. They live on ours. What do you think's going through us? Crap. Well, we live on theirs. It's a mutual exchange of waste products. But the unhealthy bacteria, it's not such a mutual exchange. They live on the stuff that we put through. For our friends, they come and steal it, and they make stuff that's not healthy for us. So we need a good set of bacteria in our body. And these are called, and we can get a set. If we don't have enough, you can go to your pharmacy, you can go online, you can go to your healthcare practitioner, get some probiotics, good probiotics. There are two main types, bifidus and acidophilus. When you're young, when you're kids, when you're growing up, you want a lot of acidophilus going through you. When you're old, when you've had your kids, you want a lot of bifidus going through you. They just work differently at different stages of life. You want a good probiotic, get one that has billions and billions of bacteria. Get one that has lots and lots of different bacteria. I know it's expensive, but you're not going to take it the rest of your life. I know they try to tell you should now take this forever. Nonsense. Take it for a month. Take it for a couple of months. Take it for 6 months or a year if you have to. And then get off of it. Once you get them in your body, unless you're killing them by having too much acid or something, if you're eating well and if you're in good shape, and you put the right bacteria there, they're going to stay there. They're not going to move. They like it there. They're being taken care of. So remember the two different types, acidophilus and bifidus. And now there's something called prebiotics they're now selling us. You know what prebiotics are? Soluble fiber. It's what the bacteria live on. And that's going to be found in your soluble fiber. Not all the soluble fiber is going to be eaten by them. Some of it is part of their home that you make for them. They don't eat their whole home up. There's stuff that's a mixture. It's soluble fibers mixed with the insoluble fiber, and it all forms a big glob that goes through you. All you need is water. And we talked about that at the last session. Anyway, so that's the deal on fiber. Now you need a certain amount of fiber. If you don't get enough fiber, you're going to be in trouble. But you also need a certain amount of soluble fiber, and this is what they haven't told you. The cereal manufacturers have been telling you, oh, we have lots and lots of fiber. You need about 30 grams a day. A male needs about 30 grams minimum. A female needs about 25 grams minimum a day. Not too much. Can be, depending what you're eating. The cereal manufacturers say we're giving you lots of fiber, and indeed they are giving you lots of fiber. The problem is it's almost all insoluble. Grains are maybe 13, most of them are about 13% soluble fiber. Soluble fiber, about 13%. A couple of them, like oats and barley, are higher. But they're different types of fiber, and you need a variety. So anyway, if you're going to eat grains and try to get your soluble fiber, you're going to have a tough time. You're going to have to eat an awful lot of grains, which means an awful lot of carbs, and you may or may not be able to handle that much. You may not need that much carbs to try to get all your soluble fiber from grains. You want vegetables. And by the way, grains are not bad for you. We're going to talk about white rice a little later and find out why that's not bad for you. Not the greatest thing, but it certainly is much better than brown rice, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Got your interest, right? Anyway, we're going to finish up with fiber first. Soluble fiber you get from vegetables. Now, artichokes are by far the best vegetable for soluble fiber. About 73% of the fiber is soluble. I get the canned artichokes. They're cooked, they're fine. Well, I may have to do some energy work, make sure that the stuff in the cans are the healthiest, but it can be done. Avocados are high, reasonably high. They're not super high. They're about average, like kale. They're about 30%, 35%, somewhere in there of the fiber is soluble, except you get an awful lot of it. Normally eat a half an avocado at a time. That would be a nice serving. It's about 2.4 ounces of the avocado, not counting the skin. The only problem with an avocado is it's high in omega-6 fats. And we're going to talk about that in a later talk, about the omega-3s and omega-6s. But you probably need about 0.2 ounces of chia seeds ground up, and eat it with your avocado, and you'll be fine. Get a nice, all the omega-3s and 6s get balanced at that time. And by the way, chia seeds, you take 0.2 ounces, you grind them up, you hydrate them. For a couple teaspoons of chia seeds, you would need a couple tablespoons of water. And that way, they're safe to eat. They grab water too fast, you can choke on them going down. Or worse, if you don't hydrate them. Some people get them down, they don't grind them, they somehow get them down without having too much problem, but it's just not a good idea. Grind them, hydrate them, they work really good. By the way, they're good thickeners for sauces. I make a nice tomato sauce with thickening it with chia seeds. Anyway, back to fiber. Tomato sauce has some fiber, at least the one I do after I put the chia seeds in. Tomatoes don't have much fiber, but depending on what you thicken it, it can have some fiber. Most vegetables have fiber. Brussels sprouts are very nice. They're high in soluble fiber. Let's see. Kohlrabi's good for soluble fiber. Jicama is good for soluble fiber. Don't know what they are? Look them up. Look in your grocery store. Ask for kohlrabi. Ask for jicama. Both of them can be eaten raw or cooked. They both taste fine. Kohlrabi doesn't have much taste. Jicama tastes like a bland apple. And it's very nice cooked or raw. Really nice raw, both of them. Anyway, that's fiber. Oh yeah, a male needs about 30 grams of total fiber a day. About a third of that should be soluble fiber. A female needs about 25 grams a day. About a third of that should be soluble fiber. If you're eating 3 meals a day, you're going to need 10 grams, maybe 10 grams of fiber per meal would be a good amount, and about a third of that, maybe 3 grams soluble fiber, 3.5 grams soluble fiber. But you must have the soluble fiber. It's absolutely a necessity. So when I plan meals, I put the soluble fiber in first, and then it doesn't matter what I put in the meal. In fact, it doesn't matter if I use white rice for the rest of the meal. If I get all the nutrients you need, basically the micronutrients are in the soluble fiber. And so if you get enough soluble fiber, you've got enough of the basic nutrients into your body. Now here's why you might want to consider using white rice instead of brown rice. It's called arsenic. Brown rice that tends to be grown in the United States in 2 areas, California and the southern states. More of it's grown in the southern states than in California. California doesn't have much arsenic in the soil. Much safer, especially organic rice from California. There, brown rice is probably as good or better than white rice. But for the southern states, I take white rice any day of the week because the arsenic is in the germ. And when you turn rice from brown to white by grinding off the outer surface, taking away the bran, you end up with something that doesn't have a whole lot of nutrients. It has carbs and protein, not much else. It also doesn't have, not much else is it doesn't have much arsenic either. And the arsenics are at high levels. They're growing the rice in old tobacco fields in the South. And the ground's full of arsenic because they used to use it as a insecticide. I talked to an Ayurvedic physician once. It was a workshop that I was attending, and he was talking about white rice. And I said, well, isn't brown rice much better? And he looked me in the eye and he said, my people have been eating white rice for thousands and thousands of years, and they're not undernourished. I've thought about that over the years, and when I finally figured out what's going on with soluble and insoluble fiber, I realized white rice is great. Just don't use it make half the calories in your meal or half the grams of carbs in your meal from vegetables. Then if you want to use white rice, you want to use grains, no matter what you want to use for the rest of your carbs, use half the carbs from vegetables. Half the carbs can be vegetables, the other half, and they can be grains. You'll be fine. And you're going to find those grains that don't have any nutrients except for carbs and protein. To my mind, that's a lot of nutrients. They are necessary unless you want to eat a huge amount of food that I can't eat. It's more food than I want if I just eat vegetables. And I make some meals just vegetables. And it's a lot of eating. But you can. And don't let me stop you. Take care. I'm Dr. Silverman. God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow.